Time now for the Nick Hart Show. It's presented each week by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including A&T Concrete, ADG Architecture and Design Group, Agrigold, All Trade Solutions LLC, AM Transport, Engermeyer Electric, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Brett's Car Care, Country Barns, Nolcon Marketing, Davis Brothers, Daylight Land Management, Daywig Meats of Hobstadt, Diversified Instrument Services, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, the Dunkel Family, Friends of Mason Scheller, Edward Jones Financial Advisor Jason Rainey, Emerson Cattle Company, ERA First Advantage Realty Rodney Langford, Fort Branch Car Wash, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Full Metal Armory, the Grandmothers of Jackson Adams, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, Hobstadt Summerfest, Heritage Federal Credit Union, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Hillside Gardens, Hip Dentistry, Hoosier Pain and Posture, IMI Concrete, Engler Family Eye Care, Jarbo Tax Service, JMCO Technologies, Johnson Commercial Mowing, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Casey Gray, Fuquay State Farm Agent, Kathy Solman Photography, Kiesel Wagner Survey, L&B Boutique, Little Miracles, Lowry Ag, Make Your Mark, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, MyTech Systems, National Vet Help, Perfect Climate Heating and Air, Pole Concrete Construction, by Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf, Remax Revolution, Ripco Systems, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating, by Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Shearer Monuments, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Stodgel Funeral Home, Stodgel Monuments, by Tim Barge Seed, Tai Chow, Titan Construction Partners, Triad Fabricators, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Vicky Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, by Wash Boss, We Simply Clean LLC, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, and by Young's Auto Body. Now, The Nick Hart Show, a special production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department and 89.1 The Bash.
Hello and welcome to 89.1 The Bash, your home for the Gibson Southern Titans. The Nick Hart Show going on. Unfortunately, the last one, a heartbreaking loss to Heritage Hills at the Jungle in that semi-state game, 23-20. Heritage Hills just by 3 points. I always do this. My name is Wes Harness. Alongside me, Coach Hart, head coach for Gibson Southern. Coach Hart, how are we doing today?
That's always a tricky question when the season ends, but
right.
But good.
Yeah, that's good. The day is good, but it's going to feel a little better once state's gone. Obviously, got that state game coming up next weekend. But 3-point loss to Heritage Hills this past week, 23-20. People could say anything they want. I know that team put everything they had in that game. But Coach Hart kind of walked me through the game a little bit.
Yeah. I felt like, especially in the first half, execution and stuff probably wasn't, and Heritage Hills had a lot to do with that. I don't want to make it sound like, we just, handed them the game or anything. Like they took it. Just some unfortunate things, we slip on a kickoff and kind of get in bad field position. Nothing you can do to control that, just things that happen. I thought for the most part in the first half, our defensively really kind of fought their tails off. I thought, offensively we missed a couple of things that could have maybe got us going. But, it's just one of those deals where it felt like we were kind of playing on a slanted field the entire first half. Like I felt like they always had short fields.
Mhm.
And we always had we were always pinned deep. That makes it tough on both sides of the ball. But no, I felt like we needed something to just kind of get us rolling. And we weren't able to get that there in the first half. And again, we knew they have a great defense, and we were going to have to execute at a high level, because if you didn't, you're not going to move the ball against them. And it wasn't our best game of execution. But I think as you kind of look at the whole game, similar to what these guys have done the whole year, they didn't give up. They continued to play hard and compete, and kind of gave us a chance there towards the end of the game to really make it interesting and have a chance. But Heritage Hills is a really good football team, and I think when you kind of make some of the mistakes that we did, especially early, you're really digging yourself in a hole, especially with a team that can run the ball the way that they can. They get that big lead, and the time can disappear really quickly. Hats off to Heritage Hills and their program. I thought they played an excellent game. And they were extremely physical and kind of took the fight to us. And I thought we did kind of blink a little bit in the first half, but again, Heritage Hills definitely deserved to win that game. And I thought their kids and their coaches, did an excellent job on Friday.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier before starting, but I felt like with Heritage Hills, had that 31-28 loss during the regular season against Gibson Southern. It was kind of a what if this happens, but with the way the bracket set up this year for 3A, Heritage Hills, Gibson Southern playing in the same conference in the same regular season, finally getting to meet again in semi-state. And I guarantee those Patriots and Coach Wilkerson, I kind of heard about it. And I mentioned this last week on 97.7 The Ref. Got to catch his interview in the morning while I was on the way to that Tri-West game. And, he's like, his kind of, main point was, we've kind of been, we kind of lost a close one. We could have made some changes or tried to execute a little better on the regular season, but this is a game we've had up on our calendar, kind of just seeing if the Cards play out the way they do, and they did. And Heritage Hills, my one thing that I've always learned through my career, it's hard to beat a team twice. It's really hard to beat a good team twice, especially when the playoffs come out. A lot of credit to Heritage Hills. They'll move on to the state title, taking on undefeated number 1 in 3A Bishop Chittard. I wish them the best of luck. From the way it's being portrayed, it's kind of like a David and Goliath kind of story. But best of luck to those guys. And it's just tough. You never want a season to end like this, especially when you're so close. But one more thing I'd like to talk about, with this class is Coach Hart, if you want to, say a couple words about some of the seniors who have been a huge part in, this PAC, this team, it's been PAC champions for 4 straight years, if I'm not correct. But
yeah, this senior group, I'm going to talk about them as a whole, because in this group we have everything. Sean started for 4 years. We have other seniors that never played a meaningful minute and still came to the weight room every single day and lifted as hard as they could. They came out and played scout team and tried to give their teammates the best look that they could. So this class and what they were able to do and the tone they were able to set, in our program, and I think it's easy to you got to have good senior groups that continue to come through. So the tone in high school football, your team's always going to go how the seniors go, and so if you have a couple bad groups in a row, it's really easy for your program to kind of lose its way on how you've been successful. So these guys did a great job of setting the tone and the expectations for our program. In their 3 years of being on varsity, we went 35-5, 3 conference championships, a state championship, and a Final Four run. So they've experienced a lot of success, and they were a big part of it all 3 of those years. And like I said, it's a selfless group, from a guy that started 4 years to guys that were playing on the scout team and doing everything they could to make our team better. So it's a group that's done a tremendous amount for this program. And they'll be missed, and the next group of seniors are going to have to kind of step in and continue what these guys have been a part of and done. But I think that's kind of the biggest takeaway for me. They were selfless. They were winners. A lot of success in their 3 years of varsity, and they were a big part of that success.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. These seniors fought tooth and nail every week. I got to see these guys. I haven't seen Gibson Southern really play since, my senior year when we matched up against you guys for your first coaching year. I've always heard and seen some stuff, highlights, videos on the news, but actually being able to see just how much work gets put in and how much effort and how much these guys play together and how much they care about the community, their teammates, their coaches. It's just a bond that it's really difficult to create, at a program, and not just be able to create it, but to continuously keep that going on year by year by year. It just, you kind of create a standard that these high schoolers, these football players, that it just clicks, and they just they get right into it and find out how much fun it can be to play at such a high caliber and high success factor. And it just really grows individuals. It's a beautiful thing. And I'll say one more thing when we'll kind of take a little break here, and then we'll move on, obviously, to the next segment. But I've said it at the beginning of the year, and I'll say it again: high school football is the greatest sport on the face of this earth. For the sole fact that a lot of these guys you mentioned don't get a chance until their senior year to finally get involved on the field and make a huge impact, and they're just working to help make their team better. But a lot of these guys, they're not the fastest, they're not the strongest, they're not the biggest, but they will still come in day in and day out and work their tails off and continue to improve and strive for greatness. It's just the reason it's the greatest sport is because it's not about how athletic you are. It's about how hard you want to work. It's about what you want to accomplish with what you're given in life. And, a lot of these guys left everything out on the field. Win or lose, they still finished every ball game, made it a ball game. And it's just awesome to see. It sucks when it's just a week short, but still, though, if anyone, playing football or, coming into high school, and this is a program that is just phenomenal. And, I know, Coach Hart, you play a huge role in that. I know you've got a great coaching staff behind you that sticks to that statement. And, it's amazing. It's amazing. But with that, we'll go ahead and take a short break. And when we come back, we will kind of get going into the schedule, kind of talk about, underclassmen, some things that would make you a better ball player as well. But we'll get right into that in just a short moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash is made possible by Full Metal Armory, the Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Car Wash, ERA, First Advantage Realty, Rodney Langford, Emerson Cattle Company, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Jason Rainey, the Dunkel Family, Friends of Mason Scheller, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, Diversified Investment Services, Daywig Meats of Hobstock, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Country Barns, Nolcon Marketing, Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Engermeyer Electric, AM Transport, All Trade Solutions LLC, AgriGold, ADG Architecture and Design Group, and by A&T Concrete.
Hello, welcome back to 89.1 The Bash, your home for the Gibson Southern Titans. My name is Wes Harness, alongside me, Coach Hart. 23-20 loss in the semi-state. So this will be the last show of the year, of the season, until, lo and behold, long awaited next season is upon us. It feels like it's forever away, but it's going to show up in a couple months. It's what it's going to seem like. It's going to fly by, and I can't wait for it. We kind of talked about the game against Heritage Hills earlier. Talked about some of the senior class and everything they've been able to accomplish in their 4 years. Best of luck to those seniors as they move on to other sports, finishing school, moving on to college. Best of luck in these seniors, in the careers in the past they still have ahead of them. But, we'll kind of get back and talk about the whole season here. A tough schedule when you're playing tough teams, especially early on when you're still trying to figure it out, really helps mold a team into realizing, what it takes to be successful. And, with the schedule, Coach Hart playing a lot of tough teams, how do you think this schedule kind of helped play a role in what this team has been able to accomplish this year?
I think it just, helped us grow early in the year, especially, we started 8 sophomores this year, which is an extremely high number. Those guys had to grow up a lot faster. I think it really helped with their development, with getting them ready to play varsity football. And I think there's just like lessons that you learn. There's, we got down in some of those games and, continued to play and fight back. And, in the playoffs, when that happened to us a couple of times, I thought that was a good experience for us to have. But, like I said, I just think it makes you practice better. And obviously you learn some of your weaknesses. You learn what you're good at, what you can and can't do, how you need to adapt. So, when you go up against bigger and faster teams down the road, you kind of know what you can and cannot do. So, we'll continue to go out and try and schedule those type of teams. I think our conference is really good, and that's shown. We had 3 PAC teams in the semi-state, 2 playing for a state championship. Unfortunately, we were the odd man out in that deal, but next year, I think the schedule sets up to be good again. We basically the only difference, obviously the home and away will flip. The only change team-wise is we'll open up at Danville, where Boyle County was last year, which is a great test. They've been a really good 3A program. Went to state in 2020 in 3A. So in year out, they have a really good program. So that'll be a great first test. And then you got Mount Carmel, and you kind of get rolling with the rest of your schedule. So We're going to continue to try and go out and test ourselves, in those games.
Yeah, and you could see how tough this schedule was this season. First two opponents, Bull County and Mount Carmel, both in the Final Four. They're 1 week away from reaching that state title. Bull County in Kentucky, Mount Carmel in Illinois, and then even with Heritage Hills, three teams just in the regular season that you've matched up against are playing for a state title. Just kind of goes to show what caliber of you know tough of a schedule you've kind of put these guys in front of, and they took it head on and didn't turn back. Just obviously fell short to Heritage Hills, who I feel like in a lot of opinions played arguably one of the best games of their lives. And that's just going to happen. Some teams are just going to come out and think everything's going to go right for them, and unfortunately that was a little bit of how that game went. They just had a lot of things go right. But that schedule really goes to show just kind of what Gibson Southern's worth is. And just a 11-3 regular season. That final loss against Heritage Hills, but two top teams, South Warren team, who was top 5 in the 4A, falling short in the sectionals, and then the number 1 3A team in Kentucky, Boyle County. But yeah, just a great schedule. I mean, all hands down. Picking up teams that you could take a big fat L to, but I think the best part, you get that big loss out of the way early. You feel how much it sucks. It's a little embarrassing, but take that and move forward and continue to strive. But we'll kind of get into the next one here. We talked about the seniors, talked about the team, talked about the season. But one thing we haven't really talked about too much, some of these underclassmen, some of these 8th graders, moving into high school for that freshman team, some freshmen who are going to be moving up, playing some junior varsity, possibly some varsity. Coach Hart, with some of these guys who still have at least another year or a few more years, what's some expectations you'd like to set forward, that really start, a month later when the weights hit and everything going on.
Yeah, we'll give them a couple weeks off here and get back in the weight room and start to get after it. And one thing I really like about this place is, our guys are going to be playing basketball and wrestling and getting ready for baseball and track, and competing in other sports. And I love that our guys just kind of go out and compete year round. But I think when you look at the team, I mentioned it earlier, we started 8 sophomores this year, and a handful of juniors. So I think we have 7 starters back on offense and 5 back on defense. And that's a good core coming back. I think our biggest thing is, and I talked about this in bragging about our previous seniors, is that senior leadership, how they're going to set the tone in the weight room, and going into next year. I think that's a big thing for us, in how we're going to handle that with our juniors now, that will be seniors. How are those guys going to kind of step up and set the tone for our program? Because we've had some great leaders before. That it's just hard as a junior to do that. And so I've always believed that in high school football you go how your senior group is going to go. Like, obviously the underclassmen can help with that, and contribute to the team, but those seniors have to set the tone in the off season, and going into next year. And so we're going to need some of those guys to step up and take on that role, and continue the expectations of our program. So, I think right now that's kind of the biggest, and this isn't a knock on our juniors. This is always like a natural progression, right?
Yeah.
Of who's going to become those guys, that's going to take, big ownership in the program and make sure that, it's great to talk about, and this is something we talk about quite a bit in our program. It's great to talk about winning sectionals and conferences and getting to state championships or Final Fours or, all the things that we've done. But if our habits don't meet our expectations, then we're never going to get there. And so, we need that senior group to make sure that their habits, align with those expectations, and that will bring everybody else along to where they go. So, that's I think as you kind of get here, it's early to talk about who's going to play where and all that stuff. It's right now we got to get our bodies back. 14 game season is a lot. And we try and do our best to maintain our bodies through the season and keep our guys healthy and fresh. But I'm tired, and I didn't take on I didn't take on a double team or make a tackle or do anything of that nature. So we're going to let them kind of get their bodies back here for a couple of weeks, and and then I think you kind of there's certain phases of the off season, and the first one is just setting that standard, the tone, to develop yourself to be the best athlete you can, bigger, faster, stronger. I think we have to, at certain positions, we have to get stronger. I thought Friday, there was some times that on the line of scrimmage we didn't do as good of a job as we had done throughout the year. And you're always trying to get stronger and faster. Those are the two biggest things. And
Yeah.
And everybody's got a cap, but you're trying to reach that peak athleticism, out of every kid in the program. And once we kind of take a little break here and get back into it, that's the first focus is that and leadership and those type of things. And then as you kind of get more into the spring, you can start to get a little bit more football specific with things. But that's kind of the first step there is kind of getting back in the weight room. And shortly after we'll start doing some our speed circuit stuff and start working on speed and trying to develop that as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a packed off season then. Definitely weight's a big aspect of football. With me in high school, it was, make sure you bench and squat. Those are, two of the most important things to do for football, but there's a lot more that can be incorporated, a lot more to build strength and speed equally. But weights are a huge, huge aspect. It's not just, getting stronger, but, strengthening your core. But it's going to be, it's a long off season, but every bit of it's worth it. If you buy in early, you will see results if you stick with it. This isn't something, hey, I'm going to do this for a couple weeks and then I'm going to take some time off. Now stay locked in, stay devoted to it, and results will be shown. But we'll go ahead and take one more break. When we get back, I know we've got boys basketball coming up now. We've got girls basketball going on. Got a pretty tough girls squad this season. And then we'll do kind of a final sign off to wrap up this 2023 Gibson Southern football season. But don't go anywhere. We will be right back here on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by National Vet Help, My Tech Systems, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Make Your Mark, Lowry Ag, Little Miracles, L&B Boutique, Kiesel Wagner Survey, Kathy Solman Photography, Casey Gray, Fuquay State Farm Agent, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Johnson Commercial Mowing, JMCO Technologies, Jarbo Tax Service, Engler Family Eye Care, IMI Concrete, Hoosier Pain and Posture, Hip Dentistry, Hillside Gardens, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Heritage Federal Credit Union, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, and by the grandmothers of Jackson Adams.
Welcome back, 89.1 The Bash. You're listening to the Nick Hart Show. My name is Wes Harness, alongside me, Coach Hart. Kind of talked about the heartbreaker game, semi-state game, 23-20 loss to Heritage Hills. They'll go on to take Bishop Chatard, number 1 in the 3A, on at that state final in Lucas Oil. Did a big sign out for the seniors, how much they play in a key, a leadership role and a key role for this team. Talked about the offseason, how much importance is involved, putting your time in, not just to make you better, but your team better as well. But we'll kind of get away from football. It's the worst and best time. You got football going on and it just abruptly ends, and, kind of got to move on. A lot of these guys, which I love about, high school, can play multiple sports, a lot of, dual sport, triple sport athletes in this Gibson Southern program. But, I heard when we played Washington in the sectionals, after that game, one of their broadcasters, he made a funny point, now it's on to the round ball season. And that's unfortunately where we are headed now as well. But I know, Coach Hart, we've had some girls basketball going on. We've got boys basketball coming up next week. But how the girls, the Lady Titans, been doing so far this season?
Oh, good. They got a good conference win over Forest Park last week. They're this Wednesday, not for Thanksgiving. They got a big matchup at Princeton, which is a rematch from the regional last year. That game was supposed to be last Friday, and it got moved to Thanksgiving Eve with the semi-state football game going on, and then swimming's getting rolling here with girls swimming. Boys will be coming, and next week our boys basketball opens up with Memorial at home on Tuesday, and then at Jasper on Friday, and wrestling will go to Decatur Central Duels on the following Saturday, that first weekend in December. It's one of the nice things here is if you play long enough, the football season kind of runs into the winter sports getting started. So our guys are heading to swimming and wrestling and basketball, and getting those things started.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a fun season coming up. Got a lot more sports involved. Like I said, I can't mention it enough. It's tough when football's over. I think you and I both, I think hands down, our favorite sport is football. We really enjoy it. But Coach Hart, in your 12th season, let me pull the tab. Your 12th season at Gibson Southern. 126-24 in your career. You've been able to really just create a dynasty and set up a program who, it's not a successful season when you don't get out of that sectional. But more often than not, you guys do. So just, I want to thank you for the program you've created. I want to thank you for letting me, be a part of this program. I want to thank the Booster Club for, doing what you do day in and day out to kind of fulfill the needs for this program. They get fantastic meals. They're never left hungry. They eat good. They travel good. And got to give a big shout out to the fans. The fans, the game could have been in California, and that whole Gibson Southern community would somehow find a way to show up and make it to this game. So, there's a lot of aspects that go into football, players with staying in shape, staying healthy, eating right, sleeping right. But this booster club and this Gibson Southern community make that something that a lot of these players don't have to worry about one bit. So, a big thank you to those guys. A big thank you to 89.1 The Bash for, being able to let the let the world listen to how what this Gibson Southern team and this coaching staff, along with you, Coach Hart, has been able to create in multiple years, not just a 2 to 3 year span here, a 3 year span here. Your whole coaching career has been, it's been phenomenal with what you've been able to do with so many different players, so many different teams, and so many different aspects on that football field.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Perfect Climate Heating and Air, Pole Concrete Construction, Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf, Remax Revolution, Ripco Systems, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating, Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Shearer Monuments, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Stodgel Funeral Home, Stodgel Monuments, Timbarge Seed, Tai Chow, Titan Construction Partners, Triad Fabricators, TYFL, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Vicky Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, Wash Boss, We Simply Clean LLC, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, and by Young's Auto Body.
Coach Hart, about to wrap this up, but before we sign off, if there's anything you'd like to say, go ahead and go for it. Giving you the floor.
You kind of hit on it. Our parent group does a phenomenal job of supporting our program. And we're thankful for everything that they do to help make this a first-class operation. The community support here is outstanding. I've said it a million times. It's not just football. It's all of our sports or activities that go on at this high school. There's a lot of community pride, and it's a really special place. I want to thank our coaching staff. I don't know if anybody really knows, the hours that kind of go into this, and especially when you play 14 weeks and the time you're spending away from family and doing all those things to try and, be as successful as you possibly can. So, it takes, a lot of people to help. Obviously it comes down to the kids and what they put into it and stuff, but it takes a lot of people, whether it's coaches, booster club, community, that support is super important too. So, thankful for all of those groups and what they do for our program every single year.
Yep. And, it has been a great year. It's been a fantastic year, just a week short of that state title. But if you're a fan of football, all rivalries aside, all teams aside, Friday Heritage Hills will be the second game. It will be a 10 o'clock start time for that 1A game. Then 3A will start at 1, I believe. So, if you're in the area or want to go watch some more football, feel free to support the Patriots as they go on to take on Bishop Chatard next week. Also got North Posey in the 2A with a big 37-7 win over Southmont this past Saturday. We'll be going on to take the Lures. Seems like two David and Goliath stories. North Posey does not have a state title. I believe Heritage Hills has just one. And both these teams are, going on their 12th and 13th state title. So, kind of a, big David and Goliath story, but extremely proud of not just what Gibson Southern's been able to accomplish, but all in all, as a football fan, a football aficionado, having 3 PAC teams being able to accomplish everything they've been able to accomplish. It's tremendous on showing what not just, teams have been able to do, but the PAC in a whole has been able to accomplish. But that will wrap up this final Nick Hart Show of the year. Can't say it one more time. Thank you everyone who's been been able to help, been able to be a part of, been able to, put their time in for a program when, that's what makes programs great, is getting for as many people that have been a part to involve themselves and, be able to benefit this team. We can't thank you guys enough. Day in and day out, you guys go above and beyond for these student athletes, for these players. And, I feel like this is the type of community that it doesn't just happen with football. It just happens throughout the whole, every athletic sport, or every sport, period, for Gibson Southern. But that will be all. If I keep going and rambling, I'm going to start crying. I'm an emotional little bum. But thank you guys for a fantastic season. But signing off one more time, my name is Wes Harness, alongside me, Coach Hart, for your season wrap-up on the Nick Hart Show for this 2023 season. Thank you again here for listening for an 89.1 The Bash broadcast for Gibson Southern. And we will see you guys next year. Thank you for listening here on 89.1 The Bash.
Thanks for listening to the Nick Hart Show. It's a special presentation of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including Young's Auto Body, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, We Simply Clean LLC, Wash Boss, Vicky Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, Vertical Tile Incorporated, United Fidelity Bank, TYFL, Triad Fabricators, Titan Construction Partners, Tai Chow, Tin Barge Seed, Stodgill Monuments, Stodgill Funeral Home, by Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Shearer Monuments, Scherer's Carriage Inn, Sandy's Pizza, Roberts Boring, Trenching, and Excavating, Ripco Systems, by Remax Revolution, Rawhide Golf, Pro Rehab, Pole Concrete Construction, Perfect Climate Heating and Air, National Vet Help, MyTech Systems, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, and by Make Your Mark, Lowry Ag, Little Miracles, L&B Boutique, Kiesel Wagner Survey, Kathy Salmon Photography, Casey Gray Fuquay State Farm Agent, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Johnson Commercial Mowing, JMCO Technologies, by Jarbo Tax Service, Engler Family Eye Care, IMI Concrete, Hoosier Pain and Posture, by Hip Dentistry, Hillside Gardens, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Heritage Federal Credit Union, by Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, the Grandmothers of Jackson Adams, Full Metal Armory, the Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Car Wash, ERA First Advantage Realty Rodney Langford, Emerson Cattle Company, by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Jason Rainey, the Dunkel Family Friends of Mason Scheller, by Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, Diversified Investment Services, Daywig Meats of Hobstadt, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Courtney Barnes, Nolcon Marketing, Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Angermeyer Electric, AM Transport, All Trade Solutions LLC, AgriGold, ADG Architecture and Design Group, and by A&T Concrete. The Nick Hart Show, a special sports production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, and your home for the Titans, 89.1 The Bash.